Good morning. This is Alice Alicia Jones. I am going to be giving a Reiki 3 session, and I'll be talking about crystals this morning. So I want to just introduce you to a little bit of my work as a Reiki master teacher. I have two students with me. It's a Monday morning. I'm thrilled to have two. And right now they are selecting their chakra stones. I let everybody take a, uh, a little grouping of chakra stones for their um, for their own purpose and to be able to use them. And I do recommend that they use them at least a minimum of once a week, once a month if once a week is too overwhelming, but at least just lay them out on the body in the same place as the chakras go and give the opportunity for the chakras to balance. And Karina just finished recording the table. These are the stones that are the teaching stones. The stones that I give away are in the little bowls on the side, and they are the stones for the students. I also have here a resource, which is the Book of Stones by Robert Simmons and Naisha Asian, which is Naisha backwards, and which I recommend personally. I have found that that's the book that seems to have the most information that works for me, and and you can see it's a resource that I've well used because I've got it tabbed in multiple places. After we allow each person to come and take their stones, and Karina is going to go and select hers now.
Okay.
We then will start the teaching segment of this.
Okay.
So just choose a bag, and the teaching segment is going to include a Reiki grid. And you can see that the grid has a big fat line on the bottom, and this is only to identify that this is the bottom of the page, so that each person knows where to start. Before we load this grid with our crystals, I do want to show a few of the crystals that I'm offering for the students to select from. I'm going to identify them because the students, as soon as Karina sits down after making her selection, because the students select from the wonderful, from the
This is my little bag.
And that's her selection. So we have here the first grouping, and I think Karina will probably show you a little bit closer where what the grouping is. These are all the stones that are good for the root chakra, and here is some of the larger ones. This is a zebra stone. So, and this was brought home to me from my daughter when she was overseas. And I believe she was in Spain at the time she found this one. This is a piece of flint, and this is basically what the arrowheads were made out of. Typically, what the Reiki stones are, the red and black stones are the ones that you're going to use for the root chakra. This is fancy jasper, and there's many jasper selections in here. They just have beautiful, beautiful markings, beautiful coloring. But again, mainly red because that's the selection that I chose for myself. I have a Shiva Lingan, and a Shiva Lingan is basically used for, in some countries, is basically used for fertility. Fertility and the Shiva Lingan, this is a very small example. You can see it's a little bit smaller than my thumb, but the Shiva Lingan, this can grow naturally to greater than the size of a man. So this is, and there is one picture that I saw of the Shiva Lingan where it was like an inner temple, and I believe it was in Peru, and all the women would come into the temple and use it as a fertility ritual because they were interested in getting pregnant. And so
Which one?
the Shiva Lingan.
Shiva Linga.
Lingan.
How
And
do you use that?
well, again, you just hold it in your hand, you meditate with it, you pray. And so I think we have a taper here. Here's two of them, one for each hand. So,
this is a beautiful shape.
yeah. And it's almost like the egg shape too, which is
Yes,
kind of interesting.
Exactly.
Right.
That's good.
So you might want to show that.
Mhm.
This is a very interesting stone, and this happens to come from the state that I grew up in when I came from Poland, Petoskey. It's called a Petoskey stone. The whole town of Petoskey is absolutely filled with these. You just walk anywhere
That's so
and you will see
beautiful.
these. This is coral.
Oh,
And
that's
so
why it has that shape.
all those
Uh-huh.
if you look at it very, very closely, you will see, and Mary's going to take a look right now, and then Karina will look. You will see all the little corals that are embedded in that stone. And of course, it's very dull to begin with, but once it's shined and polished, it has a beautiful sheen. And it also has an absolutely magnificent energy. It fits in your hand just beautifully. It has a very, very ancient energy. And so I think that you can, let's see, there, you can kind of get the different coral shapes. Hopefully you can see some of them. Maybe you can blow this up on your computer.
Let me see if I can do
Okay.
this closer. Mhm.
Oh, I see. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
that's
Yeah,
better.
that really shows it.
Yes.
And if you see, you can see all the different corals embedded in there. Yeah, that's a
Those are beautiful.
really favorite of mine. I absolutely love this stone.
Where did you find that stone in Poland?
Petoskey, Michigan.
In Michigan.
And everywhere you go in Petoskey, they're laying on the ground.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Oh, really?
Everywhere. I mean, there's nowhere that you can walk that you will not run into one of these stones. Petoskey is also very close to Traverse City. Traverse City is the cherry capital of the world. And I'm just going to put a plug in for my native Poland, because when the cherries, there was one year where the Traverse City lost 95% of its cherries that were being, because of an early frost. They went to Poland to get them because they discovered that Poland had the same climate conditions and the same soil conditions that Traverse City, Michigan has. And so they were able to get the same quality of cherry that they were used to. Okay. This one, another favorite of mine, and Karina, I'm going to let you hold it close to the camera. It's called snowflake obsidian. Obsidian is very, there's a huge deposit of snowflake obsidian in Utah, and it does look like snowflakes. So
Yes.
it has an absolute, again, beautiful energy, and it has the white and the black. So it's almost like God and the void.
Yes, it's beautiful.
That's why I absolutely love that, as well as the zebra stone, which is like God and the void. So anyway, um, this is hematite. This has a very this has a magnetic quality to it. It's a great protector. It's a great cleanser. And there's many people who will either wear a hematite ring or a hematite bracelet. Just it's a stone that makes you smile because of the sheen. It almost looks like it almost looks like glass or mirror. It's so shiny. Um, this Let me see. Okay, another snowflake obsidian. You might want to. I think we're beyond snowflake obsidian, so we're not going to go there anymore. This is a piece of coral. This coral obviously is totally different than the Petoskey coral. So the coral came from one of my friends, and it came from the Baltic Sea in Poland, bordering Poland. So she brought that home. And coral is a very, very lovely uh, stone that has, again, that many Polish people are very, very fond of. Also has something to do with fertility because it's kind of reminiscent of blood.
Okay.
So just the color. That one's a little more orange, but there are many that are more red. Let's see, another piece of flint. This one has been shined, and it has a line through it that's kind of jagged and is kind of reminiscent of a dagger, a little bit of a dagger. So that was kind of interesting.
And what do you use this for?
It's just the root chakra.
The root
Yeah,
chakra.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a grounding stone. Very, very grounding. And if you look at it sideways, it has see, it almost has a lightning bolt coming through it. And Karina, you can see that
Yes.
very easily. All right. This is called, and I showed you the hematite, the regular hematite, but this is called hematite spectacular. And if you continue turning it, you'll see the sparkles in it. It almost looks like you're looking into galaxies as you work with that stone. And it's absolutely, it has a cosmic feel. That also is a stone of protection, but it has an absolutely exquisite cosmic feel to it that where you feel you're just out in outer space. So it's an absolutely beautiful stone. That tiny little piece cost $15, but I didn't care. I was determined to have it.
Where did you buy that?
Sacred Circle in Alexandria. And if you're lucky, you will find this. This isn't that readily available, but just keep looking because it's one of my favorite. This is a fossil. Unfortunately, it's one of those fossils that has like 17 syllables to it. So I know it starts with orthe, and it's 300 million years old. And it has also the energy of, here, Karina, I can let you bring it up a little closer. It has the energy of the ocean in it, and just belongs to a long, long, long gone by era. So, but anyway, this is Merlinite, and also it almost looks like we'll go to, it almost looks like it has ferns trapped in it or moss trapped in it, which may have been the origin of these to begin with. But the beauty is too that it has the white and the dark, so it's reminiscent of God and the void. And that's it's called Berlinite for a reason. It's
Yeah.
a stone that has contains a lot of magic in it, and a lot of people have used it for magical properties.
What kind of magical properties? Because I see that this stone um, reminds like little trees,
Like little exactly,
vegetation.
ferns, trees,
Uh-huh.
shrubs, yes.
Yeah.
Um, I've never studied the magical properties of
Mm-hmm.
it, so I don't know. All I know
Okay.
is that people have used it that way,
Mm-hmm.
and, so that's probably something I'm gonna just have to research a little bit further because I've never
Okay.
used it. I
Okay.
just liked the way it looked, so I ended up purchasing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably, let's see. Okay, this is a common one. This is called red dyed agate. Agate is probably one of your most common stones, but I think personally, I think the red dye affects its properties. The fact that it was infused with red dye,
Okay.
it makes it more saleable, but is that better for the stone? I don't think so, personally. That's my personal opinion. So,
So all these stones are for the root chakra.
all for the root chakra.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And these you're going to be taking these when we work with the grid. Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to the sacral.
Okay.
Okay. You've got a cup there. Okay. And the sacral, the second chakra, the examples I have here are this is heat treated citron. It's orange, and this is orange citron. So it doesn't, but it's a polished variety. So it doesn't, you can see it's by far a lighter color than the heat treated. The heat treated, much more spectacular. But once again, I'm not 100% certain that the heat treatment doesn't affect the original qualities. This is part of a geode. It is part of a piece that was just broken off, but it's one of the stones that I actually put right in the crease of my left thigh as I do my morning meditation, because of the fact that I just feel very anchored with this, and I feel that it's a very good stone for the sacral chakra, very good stone for creativity. These are tiger eye. I've got 4 or 5 of them here. And tiger eye is, let's see, I think I'm going to let you hold
Those
them
are
up.
one of the most known
Very,
stones.
very well known.
Yes.
Right. Because
In fact,
there's,
I love it.
yeah, much jewelry that's made out of tiger eye. And the colors, it's a stone for protection. It's a stone of creativity. It's a stone that will give you a lot of beneficial properties. This is goldstone, and goldstone, again, if you can see it as I turn it, has a lot of flex in it, and it also has. It's a stone that will offer you confidence, and this is becoming more and more popular because I'm seeing it in much more jewelry that's being made right now. Um, this is a little smoky quartz crystal that has, I believe, if I took it up to the sunlight, and I don't think I could show it to you here because we don't have sun streaming in, but it has some gold flecks in it. So not only does it have the smoky quartz, which again is protection, but um, it has the gold, which would be the rutilated crystal. So that is a very, very special stone. And this one came from Brazil. Vanadinite. This has sparkles galore, and it almost looks like some has some very fishy characteristics to it because it has a as you look at it, it's almost like it has scales on it. Uh, the properties of vanadinite are for which is super charged. This is a stone that has an enormously high energy. Um, is that this will help you finish projects that you've been procrastinating on. So I thought,
that's very important for everybody.
no kidding, And it's interesting because when this stone came into my life, this was a gift given to me by one of our fellow ministers. And when this stone came into my life, I was in the middle, not in the middle, I shouldn't say that. I was at the tail end of trying to get my book published. And believe it or not, within 6 months of receiving this stone, that book was published. And that book was a 20-year endeavor.
Wow.
So I really feel very strongly that this stone had something to do with that because I think it just helped me tremendously. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Where did you find
Okay,
that?
she received it. I don't know where she bought it, but I received it as a gift. So I have not a clue where she bought it, but I can ask her tonight because I'll see her tonight and everything because I had never seen it before getting it. And then asking
and
her.
it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. You see the sparkles and the light in it. And these are.
I think we could go also Instagram live. Okay.
Okay. These are also orange citron and no, I'm sorry. I'm saying orange citron. I mean orange calcite. Orange calcite stones. Calcite has again a lovely feel to it. It feels very silken, very silky, very smooth. And there's orange calcite, there's yellow calcite, there's green calcite, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes. But the orange calcite, these are the regular colors, and they've been polished versus the yellow calcite, which is in its more natural state and unpolished. And so therefore a great meditation stone because it's got many more things to look. And well, these have a lot of occlusions too. And so anything that has things to look at on the inside, those are called occlusions. And they, so it's a great meditation stone. It's also great to, if you want harmony and balance with one particular color of your chakra, then put one of each color in your palm. Meditate. That also helps. Okay, we'll move on. These are all examples of yellow calcite, and this. Let's see, Karina.
Yes.
I don't know how to move the.
Okay.
We'll just. Yeah, you can see. Right, and no, the.
You can
okay.
sit. You can sit to be more comfortable.
Okay. Except that. Yeah, the orange calcite is for your sacral chakra. All the orange stones are sacral, which is your place of creativity. The yellow is for the mental. That's for your solar plexus. And This is interesting because one of the things that I read this morning on one of the sheets that I'm going to be handing to the two students is that an unbalanced third chakra, which is what these stones work for, is one of the characteristics is bullying. And
Oh.
it's so intriguing right now
Yeah.
how many people are struggling with bullying. And in fact, I have a very, very sad story in my life of one of the friends of one of my dear friends, um, whose 13-year-old son came home from school, and at something like 6 o'clock in the morning, put a gun to his head and killed himself. And the parents are in the process of dealing with that. But the child was not only cyberbullied, but also physically bullied to the point where he would throw up at times. So it was a very, very, sad and thing. But it was very interesting to me that the yellow calcite, and these are yellow also calcite, but they're much duller than the bright ones, but they're all yellow calcite. So I just wanted to show you the range of what calcite can look like, even in one color. Um, how this, because these to me look like pineapple wedges. They have
Yes.
they have a very yummy looking uh, uh, like appearance and almost look like a piece of candy, uh, which is a reason why if you have a child that likes to put things in their mouth, you make sure that these are not anywhere accessible to them. I'm very fortunate because my little grandson, who's only the last time he was here, it was like he was a year and well, he was under less than 2 years old. He saw all my crystals, and where I store them, there was no cover over them. He did not touch them. And so I felt very, very fortunate about that. But we, but again, your own children and you know what you have to do. So uh, just take the precautions that you need. I'm going to move on to the fourth chakra, which is the stone here is, and this is again one of my meditation stones. This I put on the crease of my right thigh is seraphinite. And again, if you look at it up close, you will see that seraphinite has many, many occlusions in it. And I've seen so many stories just by holding that stone and meditating on it. I've seen people walking into a forest. I've seen nymphs dancing, just just wonderful things. Just there's a certain quietude. Also, seraphinite. Its name is after the seraphim angels, and the seraphim are the one of the highest choirs of angels that exist, and so it has a lot of angelic properties. All of your green and pink stones are related to the heart chakra. They are going to um, be the ones that will take the energy of the heart and expand it and open it and balance it for you. So they're really quite intriguing. Um, Rhodochrosite. This is the native stone from Brazil, and it has a gorgeous property to it. There's Rhodochrosite can be anywhere from a brilliant, almost magenta pink to a deep gray. and because like you can see the gray in there, and so and I particularly love the egg shape. In fact, I collect eggs, so uh, I brought that one home. There are a number of agates in here that are extremely beautiful. This one is called tree agate. You might want to, Karina, take that close. And you can see how deep the colors are for that. This also is tree agate. Totally different feel, totally different look, but still it's has the tree agate. This one is called moss agate, and that has a much calmer feel to it, much more just no, just more gentle. Um, this also is moss agate, or is that? No, I think it's tree agate. I take it back. It's tree agate.
It's transparent.
Yeah, and it's transparent. You can actually see through it. So just really very very special.
So which one is this one?
I'm torn between moss agate and tree agate, but I think it's so dark. The moss agate is so light, and all the tree agates are dark. So I'm going to have to go with tree agate,
Okay.
because it's too dark. And this one too, you can, as you look up in the sky, it's very transparent. If you put it up into the sunlight, you can see right through it. So even though it might not show that way. An example of green calcite. So we have the orange calcite, the yellow calcite, and now we have the green calcite. Very silky finish and a very, very gentle stone. That stone is good for grief management. That has just a very gentle feel to it. And it's just very, very lovely. These are all rose quartz. I have a gazillion examples of rose quartz in my house. I have a turtle that's made out of rose quartz. I have an egg that's made out of rose quartz. Merkaba that's made out of rose quartz. A heart, and a Celtic knot that's made out of rose quartz. So just and even though they might look big, they're pretty small. And so I do want to encourage you just to collect as you go along. What you see here is about a 30-year collection. So, and the thing that I do want to encourage you is if you're going to buy, if your budget just allows you to buy one stone, then make it an amethyst. If your budget allows you to buy two stones, have your second stone as a rose quartz.
Okay.
This is, this is the best way to start because again, this is for the heart. It's for healing. It's for gentleness, for tenderness, for mercy. And people just absolutely respond so well to the healing that emanates from rose quartz because that's the purpose of this. These, believe it or not, are jade, even though this isn't typical of what jade looks like. The place where I bought them from, the gentleman that sold them to me, who is the owner of Mountain Mystic, Jerry, told me that they were jade, and I absolutely, believe him. Even though they don't look like any pieces of jade I've ever had before. This is an absolutely fascinating stone, and I think I've got two of them here. Okay, this is called malachite, and actually I have a third one here. No, malachite has a really curious history because copper becomes malachite, becomes an emerald.
Wow.
So this is what it ends up as. And it's so neat that when you stop to think
Mhm.
that copper, everybody, all of us have seen copper wires or copper
Yes,
pipes,
yes.
will eventually end up with enough pressure as a green stone, will eventually end up with enough pressure and age as
An emerald.
an emerald, a precious stone. So I got just a huge kick out of that. Um, the Let's see what else we have here that's super, super interesting. Okay, this is an example of a color enhanced agate that's like a magenta stone, very just colored just to make it more appealing to today's market. Um, this is a stone that comes from Russia. It's called prehanite, and I don't remember the properties of that, but that has a lot of sparkle in it. I don't know if that can show up on the TV on the
Yes, a
computer,
little.
but hopefully it will. Um, there's something about that stone that uh, I tend to be a little bit cautious with it. I don't overuse it.
Mhm.
I tend to and the other thing with crystals, I before I buy them, before I bring them home, I always ask them if they're willing to come home with me because they have to be a teaching stone.
Okay.
And then at the end of the day, when I put them away after the day is done, I thank them. I thank them for their service
Okay.
because everybody here that comes to the class will have a visceral reaction to the different stones and will choose stones based on what they're attracted to and then will place them on their grid in the manner that they feel is going to work for them.
Okay.
And so it's really really quite intriguing the way this works. This is a stone, very, very important for healing. This is called unakite. It's a type of jasper. This, for those children who have been sexually abused, this is a healing stone. And so I basically absolutely make sure that I not only have an unakite here as for presentation, but I also have a unakite necklace that I would lend to the parent of a child if um, if they felt that the child could benefit from the necklace. So and this is the same stone unpolished. So that's
Oh,
also
it looks different.
it's totally different.
Yes.
Yeah, if you look at the one
Mhm.
polished and the one unpolished, it doesn't even look like the same stone. But you can
Mhm.
see how a kind of whitish gray it is versus the deep red and green. And the red always looked like blood to me. You know, I always felt that that's the sense that I had with that stone. And I think that's why it has the healing properties it does,
Okay.
is because it does have the blood. This is a brand new stone that I bought. Unfortunately, I can't remember its name, and as a result, I don't know its properties. So, but I just brought that home a couple months ago, and I loved it because of the striations in it. But I'm going to have to do some research on it to figure out what I brought home. My last stone that I'm going to talk about is moldavite. Moldavite is an extraterrestrial stone, and Karina's going to bring the pieces. I've got 4 pieces of moldavite. I also wear moldavite, and so that's one of the stones that I was, and I think you'll see it here as a part of the uh, like silver. It has a silver backing to it, and it's just very well encased. Moldavite, the history is a little bit mixed on moldavite, but the the thing with moldavite is that scientists seem to agree that it was a meteor that crashed to the earth,
Okay.
and the Moldavite is found on every single continent on the
Okay.
planet. However, the bulk of it is in Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
So, and if you hold it up to the light, you can actually see through it because it is glass, or it looks like it has the properties of glass, yet there's no silicone in this.
Okay.
So, and the only thing with Moldavite, it's a crystal of transformation. This crystal will bring you your lessons. If you decide to wear it, just be prepared that if there's an issue that you haven't been willing to look at, and in my case, there was an issue when I first put this on that I wasn't willing to look at for 25 years. It was in my face. So, so just be prepared because Moldavite is not for the faint of heart. You really have to be willing to say, okay, I'm doing this work. I want to clear out whatever it is that I haven't cleared out in the past, and will also do it. The other thing too is that Moldavite has a certain heat that when you put it in your hands, you actually can feel the heat instantly. And I think there's practically no one, try it in both palms. And there's no one that doesn't feel the heat. At least I have felt that. Can you feel it?
I feel
Or
cold.
You feel cold.
Yes.
Interesting. How about you?
Maybe a little bit of warmth.
Okay. Interesting. Cold, but
Cold.
Well, keep holding it. Let's see what happens.
I'll hold it in one hand and see the difference.
Okay.
So when the issue that you had not yet addressed came
Correct.
up, was it something you were totally not aware of?
Oh, I was very aware of it.
Oh,
It was something I was avoiding looking at.
Oh,
Okay. I didn't want to deal with it.
Look at it.
I didn't want to deal with it
Okay.
because I felt it just wasn't. I didn't want to deal with it. That's the long and short of it. This can apply to family dynamics. This can apply to people that haven't talked to their relatives
Oh, I see.
in 30 years. That was, in my case, it had
Okay.
nothing to do with family. It had nothing to do with relationships. But it still was an issue I didn't want to look at for 25 years in my face. So anyway, and everybody has said that if they would buy a piece and it was too big for them or it was the wrong size or something was wrong, they would become nauseous. So they would have to take it off, put it away, get clearer about their issues, then go ahead and take, put it on again.
I am feeling the heat.
The heat.
Yes.
Okay.
But at the beginning it was cold.
Interesting.
But then I am feeling the heat.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. Because everybody feels heat eventually,
Okay.
So how about you, Mary?
Not yet.
Yeah.
That's fine because you see at the beginning it was cold. That is the opposite. That everybody feels.
So anyway, Moldavite, Moldavite, and like I said, a stone of transformation. Okay, moving on. We have the next grouping, which is, and Karina's going to adjust the
You
camera.
want to talk a little about your book?
I think at the end. Or
Okay.
should I do it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is something I have written, and it's called Own Your Power, and it's a 20-year endeavor. It took 16 years for me to finish it, to get it ready for publication, and finally, and it was rested for 4 years, and finally this year I got it published. 365 meditations plus one for leap year, And so it's a year to get through this. And one of the greatest tributes that I've received from Amazon.com was that they said people who were interested in A Course in Miracles were interested in this book. So, because A Course in Miracles is my spiritual foundation. And so, and this also is a daily meditation, just like A Course in Miracles offers a daily meditation. So yes, it does take you a year to get through. Some people use it as an oracle. Some people read it as a novel, and then go back to today's lesson. However you want to do it is fine. But it's available paperback, in an ebook, and in hard copy, and called Own Your Power Day by Day. And this is my lovely Karina. This is my web guru. So I absolutely love the fact that she's dragged me forcibly into the 21st century. Forcibly. So.
But it's thanks to you.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Karina. All right. So we have these guys, and I think we need that one adjusted too.
Yes. You are learning fast.
Fast.
About the 21st century.
I'm learning very fast.
Yeah.
There's something on the screen that.
Yeah, because your friend Ingrid say, do the different shades make a difference in the qualities of energy?
Do the
She's
different
asking.
shapes?
Yes, of the stones.
Okay. I don't think the different shapes do. I just buy what I like. And so if I find that the stone is an oval versus an egg shape, I just walk in, and basically I look for crystals everywhere I go. That's just me. And I don't really buy them according to the shape. It's just like, what is out there that I feel I absolutely have to own. Another one, Karina?
Okay, maybe you want to read this.
Okay, so this says no shades. Sorry, do the different. Oh, shades make a difference in the qualities of energies. Shades. Shades.
The shade of the hue, the light or the dark.
No.
Different kind of colors.
I don't. I have never heard that.
Okay.
So I couldn't honestly say that. I've never heard that, Ingrid, that a shade of a stone would make a difference. So I can't honestly think that would, be.
Because actually in these are pink, some are pink and some are green.
Exactly.
So some are.
Well, the pink ones are always going to be rose quartz unless you get something like rhodochrosite. And there's other pink stones too. But most of the time, your pink stones are going to be rose quartz. Green stones, there's a gazillion green stones. Green seems to be very, very popular. So, okay. And now Ingrid said, like a dark amethyst versus a light one. I see what you're after. I have never heard that. That the different shade makes a difference. If you have read that, I feel the property is in the type of stone that it is. So I don't think that the shade would make a difference, because frankly, like your brow you can have this as indigo, but your crown you can see it as white. You can also see it as shades of purple. And the purple can go from the lightest, palest lavender to the deepest amethyst color. So I think, again, I hope that makes you feel that whatever you're attracted to is good and is there. So anyway, this is one. I wanted to move on to the agate. This is probably one of my absolute favorite stones, and it's called lace agate. And lace agate, actually, it's called blue lace agate. Here's one with a lot of striations in it, so that you can see um, the difference.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
And the irony to this one is, and twist that so you can see the different markings on it.
Oh yes, it's
Okay.
beautiful.
That when I took that when I purchased that, and
Mhm.
when I took it to, again, a gentleman who owns Mount Mystic, Jerry, and I asked him what this was, because the people that sold this to me, and this was from Amos Group, the Hugging Saint, called it blue lace agate. Well, I know that these are blue lace agate. So the only thing that resembled blue lace agate was the light blue lines in this stone. So I was really kind of surprised and felt, you'll have to shut your mouth. You'll have to shut your mouth. I was really very, very surprised, and that they would have called this blue lace agate. But anyway, I have no way of contradicting, and especially Jerry, said the same thing.
This is a beautiful piece.
It truly
Okay.
is. It
So
also,
this, what can you use this for?
well, again, these are
This
all
is a
used for
beautiful
meditation,
one.
but this was reminiscent of the Washington Monument.
Uh-huh.
So if I'm ever sending energy to DC, this is the one that I kind of refer to, and this is the one that I use because it's the shape is so obvious.
Yes,
It's
mhm.
so close. The top isn't cut
Mhm.
quite as deep as the Washington Monument, but it's almost identical.
Yes.
So
And for yourself, you put that in the
in the throat,
chakra?
I never have.
No.
I will show you the crystals at the end
Mhm.
that I have used for the throat, which are clear quartz crystals,
Uh-huh.
a Vogel crystal. I've used
Mhm.
one for my throat, and I've used a Vogel crystal for my heart. But I never have, but I typically have just held this.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
And this has been just a staple in my life.
Mhm.
The other one that this is for the throat chakra. The other one that I absolutely loved is
That one is
lapis lazuli, and I have a lapis egg, which I don't seem to see here. I must have left it.
No,
Oh, that's it. That's
This
it.
one?
Yeah.
But it's too dark.
No, it's the same.
The same?
Yeah, it's the same. You can see some of the
Okay.
gold flecks
Uh-huh. Okay.
in there. The lapis and the little pyramid shape. And lapis comes from Afghanistan.
Mhm.
And interestingly enough, one of the properties that lapis lent itself to, the early masters, when they needed a rich blue shade, they ground up lapis.
Okay.
This was the color that they used, and this was an amazing. Um, okay, I'm going to just go with the word I'm hearing, waste of a
Uh-huh.
crystal, because they wanted this particular blue. It was the only way to get it, but the crystals obviously do not want to be ground up. That is not their intent. That is not what they're after.
In Peru, you can find a lot of those crystals. Or I mean, the lapis lazuli.
Lapis, you
In
can.
Peru, yes.
In Peru?
Yes. And they
Interesting.
make beautiful jewelry and with lapis lazuli.
I
Yes.
love lapis, and I just recently, one of my last purchases was a lapis necklace.
Oh,
So
good.
just very, very thrilled to have it. Uh, okay, this is color enhanced agate. Well, see again, if you put it to the light, you can barely see through it, but it's a kind of a deep blue. Um, uh, sodalite, sodalite, sodalite. Uh, this is a great stone for protection. And it's interesting how I've been told to use sodalite is if somebody is going through a very dangerous period in their life, like being battered, like a battered wife, battered child, sodalite is a stone that is going to keep them stronger. And so I feel that it's a it's a wonderful stone to have, to have around. And the irony is, it's not that expensive. You can get a sodalite bracelet uh, for I've seen them anywhere between $3 and $10, and it would give you all the characteristics, all the properties of it. Um, this is a light blue stone. It's called celestite. Again, celestite, celestial, uh, angelic energy
Okay.
for angelic protection. I have a lot of spiritual friends that really relate to celestite because they love to have the presence of the angels around them,
Yes.
which is kind of normal. And this one, I only have this tiny little piece. It's turquoise. And of course, turquoise is the favorite of the American Indian because so much uh, turquoise is out west. And so they have made this into absolutely exquisite jewelry, including combining it with silver. But they,
It's beautiful.
yeah,
The color.
turquoise
That's one of my favorite colors.
colors.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so vibrant. It just this is also going to help you speak your truth, as all of these will. They are all. This is the whole purpose of the fifth chakra, is to help you speak your divine truth. And so this one, and you can imagine how the Indians, for the most part, they were, as a nation, they were mute. They really didn't have those vocal responses to what was happening to them. Let's see what else is in here that is important. I think that's it. So we're going to go on to this. I have a great story about this next grouping. Thank you. This is Labradorite. And I don't know if you can pick up
It shows
the
perfectly.
the beauty of this stone, because it has depth to it. It has a resonance, and it's one of the stones that's the entrance to the fairy kingdom.
Is that why my Labrador was so beautiful?
Oh.
I mean, this looks like him.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful
Probably.
black lab.
probably. And I purchased a number of little hearts that I was able to select. I selected the and you can show this up closer. I selected those out of maybe 15. I selected a few of them that I wanted to bring home that were absolutely exquisite. But my story with this is that this was the size of my first piece of Labradorite. And then it disappeared. Disappeared. And I knew no one had been in the house. No cleaning lady, no guests, nobody had been in the house. It disappeared. And that was my first exposure to the fact that the fairies will take a stone. If they want it, they take it. This was, so anyway, so I ended up buying another small piece like this. This was my second piece. This guy disappeared for 10 years. This has just recently been returned to me. This lived in the living room of my house, and it just sat on the end table along with an assortment of my favorite stones. And he then, again, just disappeared. About 2 months ago, I'm in my bedroom closet looking on one of my organizers at eye level, and he's sitting there. He never was in my closet, but that's where they returned him. And he's been gone for about 10 years. So he's got quite an adventure that I'm going to try to get out of him, you know. This stone, again, this came from Jerry's store at Mountain Mystic. And when I purchased this stone, I talked to it and I said, "You're going to have to make me promise if you're going to leave me," because again, bear in mind, I had already lost two.
Right.
And so I said, "If you're going to leave me, I'm not going to buy you." So it had to give me a promise that it wasn't going to leave. So far, so good. It has never left. And I've been tempted to buy yet another bigger piece, but I've always heard inside my head, don't do it. He'll be jealous.
Oh.
So, so then I honor that, you know, and I say, okay, I'm just going to honor that. I got a commitment from this stone not to leave, and so I'm going to be okay with having him and not bring in something fancier. So anyway, this is my lovely story with this. Now, these are all the stones for the third eye. This is called peacock, and I've got a number of them. And Karina, I think you can, and I'm going to just give you two, so you can put them in your hands, and you can show them. And here's another one. Yeah. So, but the beauty with peacock is that it kind of looks like iron ore, and I think it is a type of iron ore. But it also has that gorgeous, gorgeous blue-green,
Yes.
like the peacock feathers. And that's why,
Sean.
hence it's called
Yes.
peacock, you know. So anyway, okay, so more labradorite. This guy doesn't belong here. Let's see. It's peacock. Don't think these have anything more that I can talk about here. Okay, so we're gonna, and these are, like I said, for the third eye. These will help open the third eye. And then next is, and you can come and sit in this one, my little grouping here. Okay, these are the, and you can see some of my stones get a special carrying case. And that's because they've kind of gotten lost. When I went to put them away, I couldn't find them. They're little, yeah. And so this is Herkimer diamond. These come from Herkimer, New York. And Herkimer is a little town that, and you can show them up close, that will allow anybody to come in and rent for $10 a shovel and a pickaxe and just go into the fields and dig.
Oh.
So, and then whatever you find, whatever size you find, if you found the world's largest, it's yours. You don't have to, you've paid your $10 for the rental fee. And if you bring your own equipment, you don't even have to pay the $10. So it's really quite an adventure, especially for those of you who might have children who are absolutely interested in rocks. I once had a mother walk in the door with her 2-year-old, and she had been devastated because her father had taken away the rocks, that the little crystals that child had accumulated since birth. And the father thought she would swallow them. And I told the mother, I said, this child who I felt came from the fairy kingdom
Mhm.
absolutely had to have her crystals. And so I said, let her take, buy a selection and just convince the father that this was essential to her life. I mean, she just cried and cried and cried and cried when those crystals were taken away from her. And I
Right.
felt that they were necessary for her soul.
My son, since he was like 6 months old,
Your son.
my son,
Mhm.
yes, I went with him to the park, and he collected every stone, 1 stone per day.
Interesting.
And on the beach or where we go,
Yeah.
he collected 1 stone.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Always brought home something.
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's so important. This is going to be the Herkimer diamond is going to be the closest thing you can get to a real diamond. It's not the real diamond because it doesn't have quite those incredible sparkles, but it does have a lot of light. This is clear quartz, and there's virtually no well, or maybe there is an occlusion in here. I
Yes,
guess there
there's
is
an inclusion.
a little bit. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, there is a little
Mhm.
thing, but for the most part, it's very clear. But it doesn't have the brilliance
No,
of the
it
Herkimer
doesn't,
diamond.
no.
It just it's close, but it doesn't have quite the brilliance. This is called celestite for for cleansing your crown chakra, for protection for your crown. Extremely important. And this has, and Karina, you can take it a little bit closer. This has a beautiful light through it.
Wow.
And the
yes.
light just grows and glows
Mhm.
and has just an incredible uh, sheen and everything. So that's for the crown is extremely important. The what I had said earlier, and okay, and Ingrid, this is for you. Here are two examples of amethyst. So here's a very light one, and here's a very dark one, and I get the same energy from both of them. I don't see any difference in energy at all, and never had. So I think that, and here's a third one. It's a little pyramid. Well, it's not a pyramid; it's an obelisk that is very very light, almost to the point of being translucent. But that's also an amethyst, and you can barely tell that you have that light lavender color in there. But the amethyst and the amethyst shade is this is charoite. This comes from Russia. Um, it's one of the absolutely most exquisite purple, crystals because it has a and it's very very popular to be set in jewelry.
Mhm.
And this has a beautiful silver, decoration with it. This is just a simple geode. If you're lucky, you can find these, break them open, and find the beautiful sparklies on the inside. Um, these two are totally different. This is called, and I think again, Karina, you're going to have to take them pretty close and twist them. This is called spirit quartz, and you can see the sparkle and the light that shows up in that quartz. Most of these are as well as these, but especially the amethyst and the ones that I'm talking about now are to help you with your connection to the divine. They help you channel your spirit guides. They help you hear your spirit guides. They help you hear God. They just help you. There's a very calming presence with them too, and they help bring a a part of your existence more into focus, especially if you've been struggling with something that you really need clarity on. These kind of
Mhm.
cut through all the options of this possibility or that possibility, or and they help clarify your goal, your mission. Okay, this is just another piece of quartz. Um, the let's see, another just plain quartz. These are all plain quartz, and a lot of times they're made into jewelry, and sometimes these can be picked up for $1.
Mhm.
So again, if you just keep your eyes open, especially if you travel out west, it's absolutely amazing to me. I think I got those for $1 each, and even though they had the already the uh, something on them that they could be made into a pendant. And every once in a while, I have a little child who comes here who is so fascinated that they get one to take home. So, because they're just so loving, and just love them, and need to take it home. This is just a piece of glass, but for some reason wants to be with my crystals. So I don't question it. I just leave it here. Don't think I have anything else in here. Uh, I think that's it. So, in terms of our um, teaching crystals, the what I've gone over is it. And so, how many minutes do we have on
We
this?
were you were talking 1 hour 11 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
But this was a surprise for Alice because she didn't expect to go live today.
not at all.
So I told her, well, since you are teaching today the Reiki 3,
Yeah.
why
Not?
why not going live with
Yeah.
Facebook and with YouTube?
Yeah.
So we are going to be live later too.
Later.
So if you like this, please give Alice like and share the information in your social media.
Thank you.
It will be wonderful for everybody because this class was really good about crystals. We are at the beginning of our Reiki 3 class, so we are going to have more content in a few minutes. Okay.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you for
Thank
joining
you
us.
for joining us, and we
Mhm.
will see you probably around 3ish, 4ish, something like that.
Mhm.
I think we'll be upstairs by through between 3:30 and 4.
Okay.
So, and that's when I'm going to go over the Metatron's healing
Mhm.
methods, because you get that technique today, as well as the Reiki. So,
Okay.
anyway, all right,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you later.
See you later.
Thank you. And thank you for being such a champ.
And there is one picture that I saw
Okay.
of the
So-
Shiva Lingan where it was like
So
an
it's,
inner temple.
Can you send that to
And
me,
I believe it
or
was
that'll
in
be on
Peru.
mine? That'll be on
all
my
the women
Facebook
would
Live.
come into the
Yeah,
temple.
I'm
so-
saving it.
And,
Okay.
Let me
use
see.
it,
I have to
uh,
work
as
a little
tuning
here.
ritual.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Because
So
they
let's take a
would-
break.
Okay.
And let's.
And
You can
so-
get your second round. Did you take 2?
No, I took one.
Okay, take another one.
Oh,
And-
another
yeah.
round?
Yeah.